if I'm not allowed to get a transplant, and basically my life is in jeopardy.
Tonight on the Donlon Report, doctors denying transplants to unvaccinated patients. Is that fair? Is it unusual? And what does the science say about it? I'll ask former COVID testing czar Dr. Giror. And do we really want Congress regulating Facebook? Will Democrats and Republicans actually agree on what's best for big tech? Or should the onus be on parents?
I might get beaten and I might get knocked down, but you cannot kill me.
I will speak with former world boxing champion Christy Salters-Martin about her incredible story and what it's like to be a female professional athlete, the stresses and the pressures inside and out of the ring. And remember these videos from school board meetings, adults harassing teachers and school board members over COVID masking policies? Well, now the Department of Justice and the FBI are getting involved. Where is the line between concerned parent and credible threat? We'll discuss that. Great to have you with us live from our Chicago studios. The Donlon Report starts right now. Good evening. The pulse of America tonight. Getting vaccinated really is a life or death decision. A health system in Colorado, UC Health, is denying organ transplants to patients who are not vaccinated against COVID. The reason is obvious. UC Health says, citing scientific studies, the mortality rate for transplant patients who get COVID can be as high as 32%, nearly a third. And as a result, the unvaccinated, including Leilani Lutali, don't go to the back of the line for transplants. They get kicked out of line. Lutali says she had found her donor on her own, and you'll see her in a minute. She'll be seated on her right, and everything was all set until she said she wouldn't get the shot.
I feel like I'm being coerced into not being able to wait and see, and that I have to take the shot if I want this life-saving transplant.
No, I wouldn't be able to take the COVID shot. The comment was, well, then your journey ends here, because we require all of our donors and all of our recipients to have the COVID-19 vaccine.
So we reached out to the hospital. They told us, quote, in almost all situations, transplant recipients and living donors at UC Health are now required to be vaccinated against COVID-19 in addition to meeting other health requirements and receiving additional vaccinations. But in this specific case, the patient claims to already have immunity. She already had the virus.
If I probably came down with a second case of COVID, it would be minimal. And my first time around, I was almost asymptomatic. So I'm not worried about that piece.
But her transplant doctors obviously disagree. It does raise the question, though. If you want to give a kidney to a loved one and that person wouldn't otherwise get one, should doctors have the right to send a letter like this one, saying they have the right to deny your loved one your kidney and to remove you from the kidney transplant list? That's where we start tonight, and we have a great person to ask right out of the gate. Dr. Brett Giroir is with us. He was a COVID testing czar in the Trump administration and a former assistant secretary of the Health and Human Services Department. Doctor, we're seeing all sorts of interesting dilemmas with this virus. I guess the question on this case, though, is she found the kidney. Should she get the transplant regardless?
So this is a very complicated issue, and first of all, my heart goes out to this individual person and to all of those who are waiting on the transplant list. I don't know anything about her specific case, but let me give you a couple facts. It is really the case that after transplant, because patients have to be on immunosuppressive drugs, that their T cells and B cells don't work. And if a doctor provided a kidney transplant to a person who was at risk of COVID, who was not protected, that person could have a 30 or 40% chance of dying. So it's very, very critical. No doctor wants to send a patient to their death sentence. The second issue is, and it may not be relevant in this case, but in general, organs are very precious. They are very, very scarce. And we have a responsibility to provide them to those who could benefit. We don't give organs to people who have advanced cancer because that organ would, quote, be wasted or less useful than to another person. So I think we have to be careful and make sure that organs go to individuals who will survive and thrive. It's in most cases. That may not be the case for this individual person, but it is a consideration.
The other, I guess, twist in this case, doctor, is the fact that she she has antibodies. And that gets us to another question about natural immunity that we've talked a lot about on this program, but we don't seem to really get the answers. And it's part of a debate that I guess has gone sort of unanswered across the country. So how do we know if this person has had COVID, she has an antibody level that would protect her from getting it again?
So let me just talk in general. And I do believe this, and no matter what Twitter or Facebook says, there are no data that prove that vaccine immunity is superior to natural immunity. That just doesn't exist, and in fact, there are much data to the contrary. That being said, even if you have natural immunity, if you get a vaccine, you can be even super protected. So for people who are not undergoing a transplant, I think the data are clear. Natural immunity is powerful and should be an option to vaccines for those who don't want to get the vaccine for any reason. For this individual, you know, the data aren't out. There's just not enough information about people who may or may not have had COVID and then go get immunosuppressed with a transplant. I think getting a vaccine for this individual would be safe. I would encourage her, unless she has some unusual allergic reaction, to get a dose of the Pfizer vaccine. It will boost her immunity, and go get that life-saving kidney transplant that we all want her to get.
Exactly. That's very well put, Doctor. But on the antibody point, is there a way for people, because I know a lot of folks are doing this, they're getting the antibody test. If you get this test, does it say your antibody level is here versus where it would be if you got the vaccine? And can you use that antibody test as a gauge for when you should get the vaccine?
To a degree, this is a very good question. Most antibody tests do not provide you the level of antibody, but there are specific tests that you can get from laboratories that provide you the actual level of the antibodies are there. And even though it's not perfect, we make a lot of decisions right now on the levels of antibody. They do correlate with your chances of getting COVID again after having a certain antibody level. If your antibody levels are high, you're very protected. If they're low, they're not. So yes, you can get that test. They're usually at laboratories, but they're not the kind that you prick your finger and just do it on a sheet of paper. But that can provide a guide, and I encourage physicians to do that with their patients for people like this. You know, we practice individualized medicine. We don't practice cookbook medicine for a whole population. It's about the doctor and that patient, and I would encourage that kind of test for this individual as well.
Right. Doctor, let's move on to something we heard today from former FDA Chief Dr. Scott Gottlieb about the Delta variant. We'll play it and get your comment after.
Obviously, different parts of the world are going to be grappling with this on different timetables, but I think in the United States, this Delta wave is probably the last major surge of SARS-CoV-2 infection that we have in the U.S., barring something unexpected happening with the virus. By unexpected, I mean getting a new variant that pierces the immunity that we've acquired from either vaccination or from prior infection.
So this seems like great news, Doctor. What does it mean actually? Have we turned a corner, do you think, and will we have more positive news as the Delta variant runs its course?
As Yogi Berra said, predictions are very hard, especially about the future. So we all have to be humble about this.
Sure.
But I do believe we have had a turning point. Delta was so contagious that it swept through the susceptible population, all those who had not gotten a vaccine and all those who had never had COVID before. Remember, we were having, even though they reported 100,000 cases a day, it was more like 500,000 cases a day. So I do believe the virus is burning out all the susceptible individuals. There will likely be another bump in November or December, a minor one. But I agree with Dr. Gottlieb, my former colleague, that we are probably over the hump with Delta. We can't let our guard down, but most people now are either immune naturally because of Delta sweeping through, or they've been vaccinated, or a combination of the two.
Doctor, you had a front row seat to a lot of what's happened over the last 2 years, I guess we'll call it now, because it's getting close almost. I want to show you some video of protests in New York first, and then ask the question after. This is all stemming from the mandates. There's been so much pushback, Doctor, from healthcare workers as well to get the shot. We're seeing these protests. People are quitting their jobs. People are getting fired from their jobs. There's all the debate about the mandates. Where are you on all this as you watch it somewhat removed now from where you were?
Well, you know, I think anytime you have to resort to mandates or vaccine coercion that reflects a failure of leadership and communication. We're adults. We live in a democracy. We all have individual liberties. And number 1 through 1,000 choice should be convincing people. And what I think you've seen from even before the election, where President Biden and Vice President Harris were doubting the Trump administration vaccine, to all the mixed messaging from the CDC, is people are confused and they're frustrated. And you see that by these chants in New York City and around the country. So I think we need to step back and stop pointing to our stripes and coercing people and try to have clear, honest communication. And I do believe part of that is if you have natural immunity, you are about as protected or even more than if you had the vaccine. We ought to acknowledge that. We also ought to acknowledge that having tests 2 or 3 times a week is equally protective to people around you than you having the vaccine or probably natural immunity. So there are a number of ways to do this. I don't know why the politics of vaccination is driving the public health science when there are alternate ways. This is not good versus bad. We're all Americans trying to do the right things to protect ourselves and our family. If we can give people choices, we should do that. And I think the science says we can offer people choices. I'm pro-vaccine. I got my vaccines. I got my booster. So did my wife and my family. But there are others who feel differently, and we need to respect them and work with them, not villainize them.
Dr. Brett Giror, it's great to have your voice with us tonight on this very important topic. It's great to see you. Thanks again for joining us.
Thank you.
We're going to shift now to the Facebook whistleblower who released tens of thousands of pages of internal documents calling on Congress to take action against the social media giant. In blistering testimony before a Senate subcommittee yesterday, Frances Haugen said the company was aware of a number of problems. One of the big issues of this hearing, how Facebook and Instagram negatively impact kids. The Wall Street Journal suggesting today that Facebook should empower parents and not censor free speech. Here's what Congressman Ken Buck said on our broadcast last night about what he wants to see from Facebook.
Well, first, I'd like to hear an apology. I'd like to hear a recognition that even their own research indicated that they were harming people and they kept doing it. They put profit over people. And while, our capitalist system values profit, we have to make sure that we don't allow a company to hurt people in the process. If a car maker produced a car that was as dangerous as Facebook, that car maker would have a major recall right now, and Facebook has got to go through the process of improving itself at the same time that Congress improves the marketplace.
Here to talk more about this is our friend and host of the Rubin Report, the author of the book, Don't Burn This Book. Dave Rubin is with us. There's a lot to chew on here, Dave. It's good to have you back. My first question for you is, if you had a 14-year-old and you watched that hearing yesterday, would you let them on Facebook or Instagram?
Probably not. But interestingly, there wasn't that much said yesterday that we don't just all intuitively know. We all have these apps, Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and TikTok and whatever else there is. And just think about it for yourself. Anyone watching this, are you happier when you are in those apps versus when you're in the real world? And the answer pretty much always is no. That's not to say they don't have any value, and that's not to say that I don't have some of these things, obviously. But at the same time, we know they're making us more polarized. We know that they're fraying our attention. We know that what it's doing to our political discourse and everything else. What I thought was most interesting about the hearing yesterday was not that the algorithms are manipulating us or not that we're all veering off to our own political sides. It actually was that sort of halfway through the hearing, she started becoming more of an advocate for government intervention rather than just being a whistleblower. Those are two totally different things. A whistleblower is exposing, what she believes to be the corruption or the bad business practices of Facebook. But suddenly halfway through, she was sort of saying, hey, government, you guys got to do something about this. That's much more of an activist position. And I think that was where the hearing sort of turned a bit.
Well, it's interesting because even Mark Zuckerberg said that. We have his statement from today. He wanted to wait until both of these hearings, most recently this one yesterday, were over. But he essentially said in his statement, many of the claims don't make any sense. I think most of us just don't recognize the false picture of the company that's being painted. Is that denial in your opinion and not the river in Egypt? But but he did admit, though, that he thought there needed to be changes to government regulations, Dave.
Right. So he also issued a statement saying, actually, we do a lot related to her specific concerns. Now, we can either say you're doing that or you're not doing it or it's not enough or whatever else. That's sort of separate. At some degree, I said this on my show this morning, I'm slightly sympathetic to Zuckerberg in that no one knew what they were creating when we created these things. When these Silicon Valley guys created this, Zuckerberg, if anyone's seen the movie, The Social Network,
sure.
I mean, he wanted to meet girls. That's what happened. Next thing you know, he's basically the most powerful person on earth. So I have a little bit of sympathy there. That's not to defend all of their business practices or what they're doing algorithmically or anything else. But if the result of the hearing is that the government is now going to come in and tell Facebook what they can and can't do, well, then I think we just made a big problem, a much bigger problem. So to that end, I'm somewhat sympathetic with Zuckerberg.
All right, well, we'll see where it goes. Dave Rubin, again, it's good to have you as always. Take care, my friend.
Good to see you, Joe.
All right, we're going to move ahead here. Our next segment is going to be more on what happened today at the border. Texas Governor Greg Abbott, joined by 10 fellow Republican governors to discuss the border and a record number of migrant crossings. We'll have a live report from Markie Martin in just a minute. And parents gone wild. Now the feds are investigating raucous parents. And if they're a threat to teachers or school board members, are they crossing the line? And don't forget, you can follow us on social media at the Donlon Report on Twitter.
Give you just one mathematical example, and that is just the amount of fentanyl apprehended just by the Texas Department of Public Safety just this year is more than enough to kill every man, woman, and child in the states of Texas, California, and New York.
You heard that right. According to the governor there in Texas, Greg Abbott, the Texas Department of Safety alone has apprehended enough fentanyl to kill the entire populations of New York, California, and Texas. The influx of drugs across the southern border is just one element of the ongoing crisis. And that's part of the reason Governor Abbott and 10 other Republican governors went to the border today to call on the Biden administration to crack down on the situation and protect American communities. Joining me now for more, NewsNation's Markie Martin, who was there today for this news conference and joins us tonight. So this is a bipartisan issue. Markie, were there any Democrats there?
Not today, Joe. Those 10 Republican governors traveling here to really double down on their criticism of what they call Biden's border crisis. And as you just pointed out, at the helm of this ship, this meeting today was Texas Governor Greg Abbott. But to your question, isn't this a bipartisan issue? Well, Joe, they have called for this. Arizona Governor Doug Ducey stepping up to that lectern today saying a group of 26 governors sent a letter to President Biden asking for a joint meeting to talk about this very issue. Joe, that letter has been sitting on the president's desk for 16 days unanswered. Also in attendance today was President of the National Border Patrol Council, Brandon Judd. Take a listen.
Sure would have been nice if we could have had just as many Democrat governors as well to discuss this issue. We have to have an honest conversation.
And it's not just Republicans calling out for help. We've been talking to Democrats all along the border all year long, especially in Del Rio in the light of that Haitian surge that we've been covering for the past couple of weeks. The mayor there, the county judge saying this is not a challenge. This is very much a crisis. However, and lastly, on the other side of the coin, you have the mayor of Mission, Texas here, a Democrat, saying he has scant evidence that migrants are taking over these border cities. He says, I've lived here for 67 years and nothing has changed, which is interesting when our crews can fly in for a single day and witness it ourselves, Joe.
You did. You saw it this morning, didn't you?
We did. We were setting up for Morning in America. It was 5:30. We have some video of it, too. All of a sudden, this flurry of activity. You had Border Patrol vans, flashlights, agents searching for migrants in these tall grasses. And before you knew it, Joe, they were apprehending several of them. You have 3 adults here on the ground. But if you see this van in this video, that van was full of migrants, so probably 10 to 13 of them. And just before our last live hit of the day, 2 migrants jumped this border wall, the chain link fence part of it, ran into the thicket and were eventually apprehended. But Joe, that kind of illegal activity is exactly what those governors were honing in on today.
All right, Markie Martin, live for us at the border. Thank you, Markie. Joining me now, former Border Patrol chief and retired acting ICE director Ron Vitello. Ron, it's good to have you back with us. You've watched this. You've been in this game at the border for many, many years and dedicated a lot of service to the situation down there. I'm curious if you think it's unusual that we haven't had more of an issue made of this in Washington for the president, for the administration, or for Congress for that matter.
Well, thanks for having me on. Yeah, we have not seen a crisis at the border. We've not seen activity like this at the border. In my whole career, I spent 34 years in the federal government working on border issues. This is the worst crisis, the worst surge we've seen, certainly in the history of the department. Go back 20 years in time for when we had more than 1 million encounters on the southwest border. And 20 years ago, those encounters were mostly adult males from Mexico. This is a very different problem. It's a very big challenge for DHS employees and their families because day in and day out, they're being inundated with a crush of humanity of people coming across that border, largely because the policies are now allowing for people to have a brief stay in Border Patrol custody and then being released to many parts of the United States. And so I'm grateful that the governor of Texas has applied resources to this problem. Border states know full well how difficult it can be when the border's out of control. They know how cartels enrich themselves. They know that the people even in the pipeline are at risk for human trafficking and all sorts of misery enacted by cartels and smuggling organizations on people who are trying to get across that border.
We talk about this being a bipartisan issue. Let's play a clip from Representative Henry Cuellar down there on the border, and a Democrat, and what he had to say about the situation on our broadcast just a couple of weeks ago. He was complaining, Ron, about the situation at the border there. We don't have the sound. I'm sorry about that. But in general, I guess the question that came out of that is, why does this never seem to get resolved? Why can't we figure this out?
Well, I think it requires the will. It requires policy at the executive level, and it also requires legislation in Congress. And so that has been difficult to obtain. Henry Cuellar, the representative from South Texas, is from Laredo, where I started my career. He knows this issue very well. He knows the costs for the border communities. He knows the cost of to the entire homeland. And many of his constituents are my former colleagues, Border Patrol agents. And they know full well that this problem started in January when the tools that were keeping the last surge at bay were removed and taken off the table. So now DHS and their employees are without the kinds of tools that were necessary to end the previous surges that we've seen on the border. And so the congressman is right if he pointed out the fact that his constituency is suffering because of this problem.
While this news conference on the border was going on today, there were senators on Capitol Hill who were talking about the situation down there. And we have a clip speaking again about this bipartisan support from Texas Senator John Cornyn. And we'll get your comments after.
Senator Sinema, who also represents a border state, along with Henry Cuellar from Laredo, Texas, a Democrat, and Tony Gonzalez and I have introduced a bill called the Bipartisan Border Solutions Act to try to give the administration some place to land if, in fact, they're actually interested in engaging and doing anything about it.
So what do you know about this, Ron? Do you think it'll work or help at all?
I haven't seen the bill, but John Cornyn, Christian Sinema, Henry Cuellar, they know the border, they know the issues, they're very in touch with the folks at Homeland Security. We briefed them many times when I was an employee in government. And so I'm hopeful that they put something through Congress that can regulate what's going on to help this administration put the tools back in place. All surges were ended by having people in custody or waiting in Mexico for their asylum and their immigration claims. If we put those procedures back in place, we can reduce the number of encounters at the border, allow the Border Patrol to do what they do best, is protect us from the drug smuggling and finding human traffickers, those kinds of things. Right now, they're distracted by the comfort and care mission because there's so many people coming across the border, many of them young children.
Yeah, 200,000 plus encounters over the last 2 months. We're waiting for this September numbers. Those should be out soon. Great insight from the former chief of the Border Patrol and retired acting ICE director, Ron Vitello. Again, thanks for the time, Ron.
Great to be with you. Thanks for having me on.
You bet. The hunt for Brian Laundrie continues, where police are receiving tips and where they're focusing their search. We're going to talk with our own Brian Entin to get the latest on the case. That's next. And the oil spill off the coast of Huntington Beach in California. Everyone agrees it's bad for the environment. So should we stop drilling for oil? That debate next. The manhunt for Brian Laundrie continues, with search parties apparently honing in on the Carlton Reserve in Florida. Joining me now for the latest, NewsNation's Brian Entin. So why Carlton and that reserve there, Brian, and not the Appalachian Trail that we've heard so much about?
Well, that's the big question, Joe, and we're not getting an official answer from the FBI, but we've seen it with our own eyes the last several days. It was very, very slow out at the Carlton Reserve, which is the swamp close to where we are at the Laundrie house. There were maybe a couple of deputies out there yesterday and one search crew with a canine. Well, all of a sudden today, it lit up out there. 14 different FBI units that we counted. We had aerials from above. They had a drone, a very sophisticated drone that we believe has thermal imaging on it, and they were focusing on one very specific part of the reserve near Venice, Florida. We still do not know exactly why.
All right, well, we will continue to follow this as you have so well, Brian, and I know you're going to have more coming up tonight on our NewsNation Prime program as we continue our coverage of missing in America as well. Brian, thanks very much for your report and the update. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Joe.
Yeah. Don't forget, too, we have this new segment that we want to tell you about. It's called Missing in America, and you'll see it tonight on NewsNation Prime, 9 Eastern, 8 Central, right here on NewsNation. So we're going to move on now to folks like this, and could they soon be among the FBI's most wanted? That's the fear, at least by some, as Attorney General Merrick Garland directs the FBI to investigate parents and others who get heated at school board meetings. Garland cited a disturbing trend in threats and violence, but the question tonight, if you get upset at a book that's in your kid's library and people don't like what you're saying about it, are you going to get a knock on your door from the feds? Let's pose that to Mike Gonzalez. He's a senior fellow at the Heritage Foundation. He's written on this issue as well. Mike, I guess the first question as people watch this and see this unfold would be, isn't this a local policing issue? You know what I mean? In the past, when we've seen these sorts of situations, the police have been there and made arrests if needed.
Absolutely. If anything like this happens, this is a matter for local law enforcement. By the way, Merrick Garland, nor the DOJ, nor the National School Board Association in its letter to Joe Biden have made any specific allegations of any. We're trying to find if there have been any violence. There's been heated discussion, but for heaven's sakes, these are the same people that called last year's 2020 BLM mayhem mostly peaceful, and it was the costliest political disturbance in U.S. history, according to the Insurance Information Institute.
Well, we've been watching this with politicians as well, Mike. You've seen it. Is this any different? I mean, people are getting chased into bathrooms. People are getting, walking through airports. It's happening all over the place. What are we supposed to do about it?
But that what you're showing right now, I think that happened in Loudoun County.
Right.
That was the police coming in and manhandling this guy. What happened right there, which you're showing with Senator Sinema, is completely different. In this case, this woman followed her into the bathroom and then got in her face on an airplane. Look, this is the FBI and Merrick Garland, a complete overreach. They know that they cannot put anybody in prison. What they want to do is chill debate. They want to scare the American people. They're scared themselves of the American people finally turning out and saying, we don't want what you're teaching our children. We don't want critical race theory. They have been caught unaware of this.
But, there's a difference, though, between political opposition, Mike, and what we're seeing some of these images here. And I guess the problem is when it becomes more of a threat or intimidation or something where these school board members or teachers feel threatened.
Joe, I'm sorry. It's really it goes the other way. In Loudoun County, it was the teachers who went after the parents and tried to dox them and intimidate their children. I just want to see proof, and I'm looking for it myself, that there has been any violence, any taken place in any school. I haven't seen any evidence of that. And in fact, Garland alleged none. This is very vague.
Mike Gonzalez, senior fellow at the Heritage Foundation. Mike, thanks for joining us tonight. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Happening right now, officials are boosting cleanup efforts off the Huntington Beach, California area after a large oil spill this weekend. California officials were trying to limit damage as oil reached beaches and threatened wetlands south of Los Angeles. The spill, estimated 126,000 gallons from an oil processing platform offshore. It spans an estimated 6 miles. The oil company says evidence suggests an anchor from a boat pulled the pipeline like what they call a bowstring. The latest spill spurring new debate about whether the U.S. should end offshore drilling. And here to talk about this right now, climate news journalist Betsy Rosenberg and founder of the Center for Industrial Progress and author of The Moral Case for Fossil Fuels, Alex Epstein. Alex, are you there?
I am here. Can you hear me?
Good. I just wasn't sure because I didn't see you at first. Let's start with you, Alex, because this spill's in your backyard. No one, as we mentioned, wants to see this. And I think the outrage is as much about the reaction and the response to it. But is the answer to this no more offshore drilling?
No, I don't think so at all. So I live in Laguna Beach. Our beaches are closed. And, you know, when I see an oil spill like this, I definitely don't like it. But I want to see three things. I want to see the government, one, carefully assessing the damage, two, carefully investigating the causes, and three, proposing real solutions that don't do more harm than good. And unfortunately, it's failed on all three counts. There's just a total exaggeration of the actual damage. I mean, some waters have been unswimmable and unfishable temporarily. Some birds have died, but the bird deaths are nothing compared to, say, what wind turbines kill all the time. And the waters get cleaned up by us, and they get naturally cleaned up. Oil is the natural organic substance, so it's not the end of the world. That's one thing. People are making all sorts of accusations when we don't even understand what happened. And then in terms of proposing offshore drilling being banned, California is already suffering massively because we restrict oil development and transport. We pay over $1 a gallon more for gasoline than the rest of the nation. That costs us about $20 billion a year. To put that in perspective, the last big oil spill cost $20 million to clean up. So
Betsy,
this reaction makes absolutely no sense.
Jump in there. I mean, I know you've heard if you drill, you will eventually spill. And we've seen proof of that here.
For sure. And if you use batteries, they'll eventually catch on fire. And if you use wind turbines, they'll always kill a lot of birds. So everything has different kinds of hazards to it. What you want to do is limit them. And actually, the U.S. oil industry has done a great job of limiting oil spills over the years. We have fewer than ever, even though we have so much drilling and transport going on. Unfortunately, they're not the worst kind of accident to have. Many others are actually life-threatening.
Go ahead and jump in, Betsy, because that was for you. Go ahead.
Yeah. This is not an isolated incident at all. Look at what happened in Alaska, the Gulf Coast. They're still dealing with that, the after effects on all levels. During Hurricane Ida alone, there were 350 oil spills off the coast. Okay, this is what we're going to see when we see more frequent and ferocious hurricanes, and that's the problem. It's this feedback loop, right? It's the fossil fuels, the emissions, the greenhouse gases in our atmosphere, and we're up to about 417 parts per million now. The safe level, by the way, is 350, and we're already seeing more extreme weather: droughts, fires, tornadoes, hurricanes, derechos, firenadoes. There's new names, right? And they are killing more people, and oil is killing more wildlife, and it's hurting tourism already. It's a disaster. It's an environmental catastrophe, and we're going to see more as long as we're dependent on fossil fuels. We need to make a widespread, swift shift to cleaner energy sources.
Alex, you write in your book, there's no getting around the fact that every form of energy has risks, and every industry is responsible for managing them. Have they done enough, these industries, because it doesn't look like it from the video we're seeing?
Well, they've gotten better and better, and it's not necessarily the industry as a whole. It's, you know, looking at the specific companies and also understanding what specifically happened here. It seems like a ship might have, you know, had an anchor that damaged the pipeline. You really have to look for specific causes. But in terms of what Betsy's talking about, the thing that she's leaving out is that fossil fuels are crucial for the lives of billions of people. If you want to replace them with something cleaner, your best option long-term is nuclear. And I looked at Betsy's Twitter feed, and she is rabidly anti-nuclear. In addition, she seems to care so much about birds, but her whole Twitter history, there's no mention of all the rare birds that get killed by wind turbines. So I can't really take this kind of thing seriously.
Go ahead, Betsy.
Well, you didn't check my Twitter feed far enough, because I'm absolutely actually neutral on nuclear, because I do think we need any kind of clean fuels because of the dangers of climate change, and it's happening faster, more dangerously. And by the way, this was maybe human error. They didn't report it soon enough. They didn't see it soon enough, and the Coast Guard didn't get out there soon enough, and it took them till morning to turn it off. The energy company Amplify. Humans make errors. That's what happens. It's what always is the case, okay? And when it's in a plane, you can have a plane crash. Oil spills, they can be disastrous for years and years and years. The seafood industry, all kinds of, domino effect impacts. Guess what? If you have a solar spill, no problem. We need to make this shift right away, and we need to have all hands on deck. No, we can't get off fossil fuels overnight. Of course not. That's ridiculous. But we're not doing nearly enough. We could be doing so much more. And if we don't, we'll just see more worse accidents and extreme weather.
Betsy Rosenberg and Alex Epstein, we always love having you on for the debate and the discussion. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The abuse scandal in women's soccer continues to unravel. We're going to talk with an athlete and abuse survivor, six-time boxing Hall of Famer, champ, and Hall of Famer, Christy Salters-Martin. She joins us with her perspective next. New development with the women's soccer scandal now going global. 24 top players from Venezuela have come forward condemning what they claim was years of abuse, harassment, physical, psychological, and sexual. This is just the latest in the recent reckoning in women's sports, triggered by the allegations facing U.S. soccer coach Paul Riley, who's accused of sexual coercion. Someone we wanted to hear from on this is six-time boxing champ and Hall of Famer Christy Salters-Martin. She was famous for her accomplishments in the ring, but something far more sinister was happening in her personal life. She was the victim of an extremely abusive relationship with her husband, who was also her trainer. And she joins me now, Christy Salters-Martin. It's great to have you with us, Christy, to lend your voice to this. Your story is incredible, and for those who aren't familiar with it, I'd like to start with what you talked about at the end of the relationship and how you survived. Your husband was your trainer. He always threatened to kill you if you left him. Did you believe him?
You know what? First of all, thanks for having me. But no, at the beginning, I was like 22, 23 years old when I married him, and he would tell me, if ever you leave me, I'll kill you. I'm 22 years old. I'm never taking that seriously. But somewhere along the 20-year marriage, it changed, and I knew that that was going to be the end, that he would kill me if ever I decided to leave. And because my boxing career was so intertwined with my personal relationship, I stayed until he did try to kill me.
How did that go down? For people, again, who aren't familiar with the story, what happened?
Well, I finally, after being addicted to cocaine that he was supplying for about 4 years, I just decided this isn't who I am. I'm gonna live real. I'm leaving. And that's what I told him, I'm leaving. And when I told him I'm leaving, he said, I'll kill you if you leave me. And I turned around, I looked him right in the eyes, and I said, do what you have to do, Jim. Knowing that I had sealed my fate. As I drove off that day, I knew that he would try to kill me.
And he did.
And he did. When I came back home, he stabbed me repeatedly, punctured my lung, tore my ear off my head, pistol whipped me, and then when I wasn't dying fast enough, he came in, stood at my feet, and shot me point blank with my own 9mm.
It's just amazing. How you survived is incredible. We'll talk a little bit more about the documentary that's coming out if people do want to learn more about what your survival story has been. But I want to ask you about your similarities to the stories that we've been hearing, both in the gymnastics case and now also in the women's soccer case. Your case was a little different because it involved an abusive domestic relationship versus a coach abusing his power, but it was really for you both because he was your husband and your coach and your trainer.
It was both. The coach, the trainer, the husband, all tied into one. And he did abuse me both physically, emotionally, even sexually, if you really want to get serious about it. But going through boxing and trying to grow my career, I faced many male remarks that probably weren't very appropriate. But I just tried to use those remarks for fire when I should have gone to someone and spoke out against this harassment is what it was.
Right. Last night, Kira McCormick, one of the a former soccer player who had her own situation where she called out abuse involving a coach, was on the program, and she talked with us briefly about accountability. I want to play that for you and ask you about it after.
And I think there just needs to be a focus on enablers because a lot of these organizations, find out about these situations and turn a blind eye and allow these people back in. And they should be held to account for those sorts of decisions because it really does put athletes in harm.
Christy, what do you think should happen with women's sports in particular? I mean, you have one thing where you've got people who are accusing predators, but it's another, I guess, when you see the lack of action after people complain about it.
It is such a tough situation because I was just speaking with a friend of mine earlier, and I said, you know, if you know someone and then another person would come and complain, you would probably find that hard to believe that, no, this person's my friend. They're not a sexual predator. But once these allegations keep coming to you, you have to take it for real. And it shouldn't have to get past that first one. I'm not saying that in any stretch, but it's hard to believe that so much is happening in women's sports, that so many women are being sexually abused, mentally abused, physically. I mean, in every aspect, they're being tried to hold them down or stop their career, stop their desire to be successful, and usually it is by a man.
Right, controlling as well, which is what you ran into. Did you talk to anyone about what was happening to you?
I didn't talk to anyone, probably for a lot of the same reason that other women in sports don't talk to anyone, because if your career is on the rise, the last thing you want to do is rock the boat. You want to keep everybody on board and everybody moving forward. So if you speak out, then you're the one that's ostracized. You're the one that's left out of the rise. So I never talked to anyone.
We did mention your new documentary, and I want to play just a piece of it for our viewers so they can see what it's all about. We'll talk to you about that too after. Here's a bit.
I was on top of the world, but my private life was the opposite.
You're about to meet a husband and a wife team you won't forget.
I said, Christy, I'm going to make you the best woman fighter in the world.
Jim was a master manipulator.
I got you on candid camera when you come in.
He just wanted to show me he was the boss.
So tell us, Christy, what we can look for in this documentary and what it meant to you to make it.
Netflix did a wonderful job. Laura Brownson put everything together, talked to all the important people in my life. I think it touches a lot of different groups of people. It touches the people that are dealing with domestic violence. It touches the people that are dealing with their sexuality. But most of all for me, it's the underdog story. I'm a little girl from southern West Virginia that had no real outlet. My degree is in education. I was going to grow up and be a school teacher. And there's nothing wrong with that, but that's what I was going to do every day for the rest of my life.
Right.
But now, because God saw that, let me leave her on this earth, I'm going to change lives. Every day is my goal, to change someone's life by talking about domestic violence and giving somebody just that little fight. Maybe they're the underdog. I just want to bring fight to people's life.
Well, we'll look forward to seeing it. Christy Salters Martin, it's great to have you with us. 6-time champ, boxing Hall of Famer. Take care of yourself.
Thank you, sir.
We can always find time to pay homage to our veterans. In tonight's American Snapshot, one TikTok star made sure a handful of veterans are getting wheels too. That's ahead. Lead. Social media has been taking a beating the last couple of weeks. Tonight, an example of some of the good it's doing. 79-year-old Patriotic Kenny has become a TikTok star. He was surprised with a new scooter after his broke down, and it went viral. So now Kenny's paying it forward. He's giving scooters to as many veterans as he can. He's up to 25 right now, hoping to pay it forward to even more. That's our time and our snapshot. Leland's next.